So if you're one of those people who's been wondering when we're going to find out more about the Jeffrey Epstein story, who's been asking for disclosure, or at least wanting more disclosure, the dump of more than 3 million Epstein-related documents a few days ago by the U.S. government is, well, pretty amazing, but also kind of a mixed blessing. Because in that cache of material is a lot of tantalizing information. There's also a lot of stuff that's maybe not true. There's some stuff that seems kind of fantastical, and it's all there together. And you could ask yourself, well, why is that? Could this be an attempt to discredit the whole story by throwing nonsense in next to clearly true information? I mean, possibly. We can't know. All we can do is assess what's on the internet right now. So included in that document dump are a bunch of emails to and from Jeffrey Epstein, to and from people whose names we know, and in a lot of cases, people whose names have been redacted for whatever reason. We can't know why they were redacted. We can guess. There are text messages. There are videos. There are photographs. There are all kinds of attachments, documents, and there are also a lot of statements from anonymous people, some named people, that may or may not be true, including people who just called into some sort of tip line with information about Epstein, including statements from confidential human sources that may or may not have been taken under oath. Like, who knows? There's just a lot of stuff there, and some of it seems kind of ridiculous. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Some of it seems worth following up on. So how do we assess it? Well, that's going to take an awfully long time. Most people don't have the time. So we thought it would be interesting just to start with a very narrow slice of the material, and that's the emails and texts that we can be pretty sure were sent from or to Jeffrey Epstein that pertain to the question of food, specifically pizza. And that caught our attention immediately. Pizza, people talking about pizza, adults talking about pizza and pizza parties. Now, why did that catch our attention? Of course, because it evoked memories of this semi-forgotten story from about 10 years ago known as Pizzagate. That was a wild conspiracy theory thought up by like the QAnon retards on the internet. The conspiracy theory about Pizzagate. It sounded so absurd. And we're about to get into much more detail about what that original theory was and what it may have actually meant in just a second. But it all began, as you may or may not remember, with another trove of information that hit the internet 10 years ago, WikiLeaks to be specific, released in 2016, a bunch of emails from John Podesta, of course, former high official in the Clinton and Obama White Houses, to and from a bunch of people that mentioned the word pizza or pizza parties in ways that seemed totally inorganic, just weird. In fact, in ways that suggested the term pizza was a code word for something else, something dark. And people on the internet speculated at great length that pizza was actually a synonym for children or sex with children. Ugh. And this was immediately dismissed, of course. And turns out there was probably a lot more there than a lot of us perceived at the time. And again, we're going to get into that in just a minute with Ian Carroll, who's taken a very close look at this. But back to the most recent document dump. There were a lot of references to pizza, like a lot, by some counts, almost 1,000 in these documents. Some of them probably were just to pizza. You don't want to read too much into anything because you start imagining that you see things that aren't actually there. But if you read, I don't know, exchanges like this, let's read one, see what you think. And we're quoting. This is an email to Jeffrey Epstein, we're told by DOJ, on April 6, 2018. Quote, "This is better than a Chinese cookie. Let's go for pizza and grape soda again. No one can understand." Maybe, there are a lot of fit adults like Jeffrey Epstein, who was pretty fit for a middle-aged man in 2018 who are regularly eating pizza and grape soda. Or maybe they're talking about something else. Maybe this is code. So it's worth considering anyway, right? But it was this exchange that made us think, whoa, wait a second. maybe the long debunked conspiracy theory about Pizzagate wasn't actually debunked, and maybe someone should take a closer look at this, given Epstein's documented history of sexual abuse of young people. So here's just one exchange. This is the one that stopped us in our tracks and made us think, oh, wow, we should know more. This is an exchange, according to these documents. We're not alleging anything, but this is what's on the internet from the DOJ. This is on the DOJ website. This is an exchange between, and apparently a text exchange between Jeffrey Epstein and, we think, a urologist, a physician who was treating him apparently for erectile dysfunction in the spring of 2018. And that physician's name is Harry Fish. Again, we're not alleging anything. We're just going to read what's in this, okay? So this is the doctor texting Jeffrey Epstein, and I'm quoting, and they're going back and forth on stuff. And he says, I'm back. Can call you in Stendra 100 at Zitmer. Now, Stendra is apparently an erectile dysfunction drug like Viagra, and he's prescribing it to Jeffrey Epstein, who apparently needs it. And Epstein writes, how many? And the doctor writes back, 10. They didn't have your call yet? You have refills available. Call them back. Thanks. They wanted you to call, Epstein says to his urologist about the erectile dysfunction drugs. The doctor writes back, I just did. You can pick them up now. And here's the line that inspired the segment you're about to watch. After you use them, after you use the erectile dysfunction drugs, after you take Viagra or its equivalent, we're quoting, wash your hands and let's go get pizza and grape soda. Call me. So to all the people who dismissed out of hand this conspiracy theory about Pizzagate, oh, it had nothing to do with sex or kids or anything illicit at all. It wasn't a code word. They was eating pizza. Here you have apparently Jeffrey Epstein's urologist telling him that after you take your erectile dysfunction drug, after you become sexually potent again, wash your hands and join me for pizza and grape soda. Okay, now, you don't have to be a total wacko to see the connection between a pizza and grape soda and what sounds like some kind of illicit sex act, again, committed by a guy with a documented history of illicit sex acts with young people. So the obvious question is, what is this? The second obvious question is, has anyone in federal law enforcement talked to the surviving member of this text exchange, which would be this guy, Harry Fish, whoever he is, apparently now a pharma executive? Has anyone talked to him, not arrested or indicted him, but just like sat him down and said, hey, pizza and grape soda after taking an erectile dysfunction drug? What were you talking about? Speak slowly so we can understand into the microphone. Has that happened? This is not an attack on Donald Trump, obviously. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's not an attempt to crush the Republican Party or influence the 2028 primary. It's like a question that any American should be allowed to ask, which is, are federal law enforcement officials doing their best to stop the sexual abuse of young people? And that's kind of a baseline requirement, you would say, in a civilized country, that federal law enforcement make a good faith effort to stop people from molesting kids. And maybe this isn't evidence of child molestation, but if it's not, what is it? What is it? And is anyone trying hard to find out what it is? We would hope someone does really soon. And more broadly, what does this tell us about one of the most amazing stories of the last 10 years, 2016, the WikiLeaks dump of John Podesta's Gmail account? There was a lot in there, a lot. We were told the Russians did it. We ended up going to war with Russia over that. Really, that's when the whole Russia thing started, was in that story. But now that we've had 10 years and now more information, like, should we reassess what that really was? I don't know. So the new year is here, but that does not mean you've got to overhaul your whole life. despite claims to the contrary. You don't have to take drastic measures. Make a few changes here and there, and you'll be a lot better off. And you can start with the snacks in your pantry. Now, products from standard American chip brands are, let's be honest, pretty repulsive, filled with chemicals that make you feel heavy and bloated. They don't even taste that good. They're not good for you. We recommend an upgrade with Masa chips. Masa is the easiest way to eat clean without feeling like you're on a diet. The chips contain 3 ingredients. That's it. Organic corn, sea salt, 100% grass-fed beef tallow, and that is it. No seed oils, no mystery chemicals, just food, actual food. And they're amazing, and you feel great after. You don't feel weighed down. We particularly enjoyed the Cobanero flavor lately, but they're all great. You want to give them a try? Visit masachips.com, MASA chips.com/Tucker. Use the code Tucker for 25% off your first order, or you can click the link in the video description, or you can scan the QR code to claim this outstanding offer. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.